Hey guys, this is BiXX. Welcome to Mentoring Monday. How many of you ever experienced self-doubt? And how many of you experience self-doubt much too often? When trying something new, I can tell you that I used to experience self-doubt all the time. I found myself telling my brain why something could go wrong if I tried to do a task that I was not familiar with. I played the what if game to excess. What if this went wrong? What if that went wrong? Just kind of talked myself out of doing some of these things. So today's topic is going to be about overcoming self-doubt. Pretty powerful topic. I've learned how to overcome self-doubt, but it's something that you need to understand, truly understand, and to continuously work on it. So to kick off this topic on how to overcome self-doubt, I'd like to mention 3 key points. Low self-esteem can undermine both cognitive and motor performance. This means it affects the way you think and the way you physically move. It affects just about everything you do, and not in a good way. Low self-esteem unchecked is bad. People can increase their self-esteem by avoiding negative self-talk and challenging their own negative self-beliefs. It's important to spend less time with those who undermine your self-worth and spend more time with those who support you and pull you up. When we don't consistently feel good about ourselves, we're more likely to experience anxiety and depression, struggle with eating disorders and substance abuse, give up when faced with some significant challenges, and struggle in friendships and romantic relationships. Can you see any benefit to not feeling good about yourself? There aren't many. We're also less likely to ask directly for needed support, relying instead on tactics like sulking and negative self-talk. I can't possibly do this. I'm such a screw-up. Which all this comes from is low self-esteem. I've always said that high self-esteem comes from doing esteemful acts. And I'll talk about this later in the talk. So if you suffer from low self-esteem most of the time, or just once in a while, are you ready to start feeling better about yourself now? Then stay with me as I talk about the 6 strategies to try today. 1, write down the negative statements that you say about yourself. Then challenge each one. Often, negative statements are very vague or extreme. Example, I suck. Do you really suck at everything? I sincerely doubt it. For every negative statement, disprove it with a contradicting statement. We've all said, I suck. Think of a time, or many times, when you did not suck. For example, maybe your grandmother, family member, teacher thinks very highly of you, and they'd be appalled to learn that you or anybody else think you sucked. Think of a contradicting statement, like my coworker thought I was very helpful last week. I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples when you did not suck, if we simply put our minds to it. Okay, number 2, make a personal greatest hits list. Write down in chronological order, from most to least meaningful, all your accomplishments to date. From these, generate fact-based affirmations. Example, I aced a test in college or in high school. And the affirmation, I'm capable of learning and demonstrating my knowledge of X subject. I can do anything if I focus and apply myself. Another example, I landed a job at ABC company. Other people recognize my talent and my ability to do the following. So list what you're good at. Think about the setbacks that you recovered from. Generate affirmations from these setbacks. Also, think about what you did to recover from these setbacks. Most of the time, you learn from that mistake you made and worked very hard to recover from it. Have you ever had an emotional breakup in any part of your life? We all have. I bet you never thought you'd get over the breakup with so-and-so, but you eventually got over it and you moved on with your life. So the affirmation is, I am capable of healing from emotional pain. I've done it before and I'll do it again. 3, learn from other people's mistakes. I love this. We've all heard how important it is to learn from our own mistakes. Mistakes are great learning experiences. What did I learn and what are the new opportunities are 2 of the questions that I always ask myself. But even better than learning from our own mistakes is learning from other people's mistakes. Have you ever heard the acronym OPM? Other people's money when it comes to investing. I say that a lot. But OPM also stands for other people's mistakes. So ask friends, family members, colleagues, teachers that you got good rapport with, what are their biggest mistakes or failures, and what did they learn from them? Whenever I meet someone super successful in business, I always ask him or her, what are their biggest mistakes, and what's your biggest mistake that you've made in business, and what you learned from it? You'll quickly realize that your biggest mistakes aren't that bad by comparison. And you may get some helpful tips on how these folks who screwed up big time built up their resilience. My biggest mistake in business, other than running off a couple of really great employees, was I got my company into a big patent infringement lawsuit. It was expensive and very mentally painful. I used all the resources I could find to help me get out of it. I was so focused on correcting the mistake that my company had its best year ever the very next year. And I never made that mistake again. 4, seek help from someone you feel safe with. Sometimes negative self-statements, like I've never been in a successful relationship, or I can't hold a real job, these are not helpful. It just means you and the quality of your life might benefit from learning some extra skills or practicing some new behaviors. Get some guidance from someone who won't shame you or act negatively when providing the help. If this does not help, try reaching out to a trusted religious or a community leader, or even get professional help like from a psychiatrist or a psychologist. 5, do something that makes you feel good about yourself daily. I've always found that self-esteem comes from doing esteemful acts. Compliment a friend or a coworker. Express gratitude to someone else. Help a friend or a coworker in need of assistance. Often, it's through helping others that we see our value reflected, and as a result, feel better about who we are and how others see us. Each day, do something that you're good at. You want to feel that sense of accomplishment. It builds upon itself. It really does. And so the opposite is true. Keep a list of activities that you do well that makes you feel very competent. And when in doubt, consult the list. Again, self-esteem comes from doing esteemful acts, no matter how big or how small. Spend more time with people who are supportive. Spending time with people who criticize you or reinforce negative self-beliefs just isn't helpful. A few years ago, I met this very smart person. I noticed that just about everybody he or she surrounded himself with was a toxic taker, like leeches sucking the blood. This person's life was a mess, constant conflict and self-doubt. Now, with a much more positive team of friends that they surround themselves with, this person's life is growing in a much happier and more positive direction. Such a big change for the better. Fostering positive connections also means setting boundaries with people who make you feel bad about yourself. Learn how to say no, and learn how to stand up for yourself. Seriously. For example, You might say, I appreciate your point of view, but I'm not comfortable being spoken to with such disrespect. Don't really argue with them tit for tat because it's going to be a waste of time. People like that want to put you down, they're really not happy people. So politely remove yourself from the situation. I've been in that situation where I thought I'm going to fix this person and just go tit for tat with them, but it never gets anywhere positive. So I've experienced self-doubt in just about everything I've ever done in my life, especially the first few times I played live as a DJ. A big reason why I created the track, Yes I Can. But over time and lots of practice and recognizing my feelings, I now know that the feeling of self-doubt will be turned into fuel and energy to turn that self-doubt into self-confidence. Because many years later, I now know what to do, and I trust my instincts and my experience. But it didn't used to always be that way. Can you think of some situations where you've had self-doubt and now you have self-confidence? Think about what you did to overcome that and build from there. Hope this topic was helpful and gave you a few ideas of how to overcome self-doubt. So until next week, this is BiXX signing off, and remember, it's never too late to reinvent yourself and remove your self-doubt. Cheers.